Well, it says, hello, welcome to Restore Belief. I am Nikki. Tonight is going to be an interesting topic for some. For others who don't give a damn, you're going to scroll right through it. This I already know. Okay, so tonight's subject is all about ET pregnancies. I completely changed the topic for this week because, hello, weird stuff going on with the computer. So, okay, and do that so there's no problems. All right. Anyway, so tonight's topic is all about ET babies and the pregnancies, the hybrids, and the entire process. If you are watching, please let me know in chat that I'm up and running. You never know with YouTube. You never know with how things are going to take place and happen. And I just want to be sure that I'm actually on. I've had this happen before where thought I was on and nobody could hear. Looks good, sounds good. Thank you, Gayleen. I very much appreciate it. Most appreciated, my dear. So that said, get right into it. I had a lot of questions from somebody about the pregnancies, about the birthing chair, about pretty much the entire process. So, and I have talked about this before. Hey, Christine. Appreciate you coming in. Thank you. Very much appreciate it. And so I want to take everybody down the process from beginning to end as I know it. This is my personal experience. Everybody may be a bit different. There has been, I guess, conversation in some of the community as to whether these memories are repressed memories, because that's what in counseling, that's what they're called, repressed memories, or if they're blocked memories. Well, depends on the race of ET that's taking you, depends on what happens with your brain, and it depends on what is allowed and isn't allowed with the race of ET that's taking you. So there's just basically three factors involved: race of ET, what your brain is doing, and if the memories are allowed and they are actually blocked. I came across rather a surprise today where somebody had commented that they don't believe that any of the memories are blocked and that it's basically all repressed memories. Not in my experience. I have fought really hard against two races of ET who did not want me, because I have a mouth on me, I'm going to speak about it. They did not want me talking. Okay, so those are blocked memories. Repressed memories are when you've gone through such a traumatic experience, your brain literally shuts it off. That's like what I talked to you guys about last week with me when I went through that horrible, I was 6 years old. I keep saying 6. It's 5 or 6 years old, and traveling to California and with my mom in a van and going over the mountains. We were actually in California at the time, going from Washington to California to see my stepdad. The brief synopsis is that the ETs abducted Mom and I they lifted the van right up off the road as the road was being driven, or as the van was being driven. And that's not a good situation. And they blocked. Those ones deliberately blocked the memories of what happened. What they did not block is the lifting of the vehicle off the ground. They blocked everything else. And my mom didn't even remember until I mentioned it to her. And then she lost her freaking loving mind about it. So, and I mean, she bawled and cried. I mean, just, it was awful. So, yeah, I triggered her memory and she remembered a big chunk of it. And the going up and the coming down, everything else is blocked. So there is a difference, folks. There really, honest to God, is a difference between who's taking you, what the purpose is that they're taking you for. And so, yeah. Part of it is also to not traumatize you. Part of it is to keep what they're doing secret. All of that said, so those, the going up part and the coming back, those were repressed memories. The other aspect of that, those are blocked. And it's very difficult to actually break through an ET's version of blocking a human's memories. It's very, very difficult. It can be done. And one of the ways that can be done is through regression hypnosis. Now, like I have said in the past, I have been consistently told on both sides of the coin to do regression hypnosis, and then I've been told absolutely do not do it. There are reasons that, I mean, and both sides of the coin with the people, they've got valid reasons on both sides. And here's the thing that my counselor back in the day, back in the 90s, made a statement to me, and I'm going to say it to all of you. If you have to do anything legal, don't do hypnosis, because they will rip you to shreds in court over doing hypnosis. It's too controversial in a court system, and it is not considered, I can't think of the term he called it, but anyway, it's not good. And so if you want to do your memories and unblock them, just be aware that if you've got anything that deals with court and they find out that you've done any kind of hypnosis, a lot of your memories are going to be called into question. That's one of the biggest reasons why I have not done hypnosis. It's probably the biggest reason why I haven't done hypnosis regression. Because you can unblock some of those memories, but what are the consequences of that? Yeah, I've known, Christina's saying, totally agree regarding hypnosis and for quitting smoking. Cool. Yeah, I've known people that have done it for quitting smoking, and I've known people that have done it for weight loss. I've known people to do it for a lot of different really positive purposes. When you're dealing, you have to realize, though, it is a form of control of the brain. And for somebody like me, with all the trauma that I have been through regarding the ETs, regarding the U.S. military, and who work with ETs, no, I honestly didn't, when I first started having flashbacks of some of my experiences, and I couldn't figure out why I was seeing military men in my memories and yet ETs at the same time, or being on battlefields, it made no sense. It made it made no sense whatsoever. And then I started realizing that some of that was from past lifetimes. Now, and this is why I say that being an ET abductee is a process. It is a lifelong, or can potentially be a lifelong process, because you are trying to figure everything out. This is why I say, and I'm not going to show this. Flip the page over so that you're not seeing everything. This is why I say, get a notebook, write everything down. You have to. In order to make sense of everything, of all your memories, of what is taking place, get a notebook. Start, even if you have to hide the notebook from family, because this is a secreted thing. There are a lot of people, a lot of abductees who don't want their work knowing. They don't want their family knowing. They don't even want their friends knowing. So if you have something, even if you can't do a handwritten journal, then do it on your computer. Lock it down. I've got had friends. They're now deceased. I've had friends who have locked down very specific ways to where they have locked down file folders. They have had flash drives where everything was, you couldn't access it. Matter of fact, I knew somebody who was in government that wrote down very specific things for their memories of traumatic events for them that would not give anything away. Because that was how they were like, I'm not going to do that. I've signed NDAs. I'm not revealing, but I need to get my emotions out. One of the ways they did it was on a flash drive. And I was told that their best code crackers could not crack the kind of what we call flash drives. I don't know how it worked for them. I don't even know where all of their stuff went after they died. I don't really care. But it was bits and pieces of some of their some of their memories of different things that really traumatized them. And at one point, I cannot use that word. I just saw an image of what I was told, and then I somebody put a great big red mark through it, and I'm like, okay, well, I can't say that. But what I can say is that I even know that at one point, one of those flash drives went into a fire. It got burned up. There's no way any of that was so, and I don't know if they had any others, but I do know that was a possibility. So, yeah. If you've got a situation to where you need to vent stuff out, put stuff in lockdown. Do what you need to where it can't be cracked or coded or anything. I did read that, Gillian, but I didn't think you wanted it said, so I'm not going to say it. But I did. I wanted you to know I did see it. Anyway, so all of that said, these are my memories. Some of them are, I've broken through some of the blocks, which has not been fun. It's actually been physically painful. And it's been an incredible emotional ride, roller coaster of really major things. And I think that because I have remembered 3 now, military men with names, first, middle, and last names, and their can't think of what it's called, rank. God, I don't know why I couldn't think of that word. Who were on board ships, who were walking around with other ETs. That makes me incredibly dangerous to the U.S. government. I get that. I don't give a shit. I mean, I do, but I don't. But if I ever took that information and sat in front of Congress, there's no way in hell I'll do hypnosis, regression. There's no way in hell. Hey, Amy. Glad to see you, dear. There's no way. Because everything that I talk about will be definitely called into question. So, I'm not even going to go there. I've already talked about that last week. So, anyway, and I'm talking about in front of Congress in a Skif. I am not talking about in public domain. There's no way in hell. There are certain things I will talk about publicly. I have for not only myself, because I think it needs to be out there, but I have for other people because other experiencers need to know, 1, you're not alone. 2, you do have a community that does give a damn about you. You do have people who are willing to listen to your story, your information, and not use it. Okay? Because there are a lot of people out there in this community that are out for themselves. I've experienced it for myself from a few people. Specifically 2. Well, 1 major hardcore, but that's beside the point. So, no. You have to do what's in your best interest to protect you, to protect your family in whatever way you can. Now, we're going to get into all of that talked about, all of that said and stated. I'm going to get into the pregnancies, my personal experience, and what realizations I have made. Okay. I've talked about this repeatedly, but I want those that are asking questions like my friend did. They asked quite a lot of really good really good investigative questions, things I've never been asked before. Okay, so I want to be sure. Hang on, just a moment of business here. 17 minutes in, and I want to be sure that I get a few things taken care of. So yeah, very much, Galen. Okay, so let's see. That's business. Excuse me. I just don't want to forget this person's questions. Okay. All right. So, for me, what I have learned, and here we go. Here we're getting into it, 17, 18 minutes into it now. What I have learned and have remembered is that I started being abducted at the age of 4. That's what I remember. I have been consistently told by many other people, psychics that I know, personally know. Many are friends, and they have told me that you've been taken before you were 4. One even stated you and your mom, you were taken while you were in your mom's stomach, while she was pregnant with you. I don't remember any of that. Some people might. I'm not one that does. I only remember from 4 years old right now If the other memories come about, they come about. Like I said, this is a process. That said, 4 years old, being abducted, age 13, they impregnated me. Now, my belief now, and has been since 2019, 2020, is that they screw with the female hormone system, and they create a form of PCOS, because a lot of women, not all women, but a lot of the abductees have PCOS. PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. For whatever reason, from my understanding, there's something about that that creates an avenue, an access for the ETs. That is my personal belief. Now, I understand that not all women that are abductees that go through one of the many hybridization programs. That's what I wanted to say. Okay, so there was a gentleman on, now I got to get it out of my phone. There was a gentleman on SOR last night, Spaced Out Radio. His name is Michael Osidona. He stated that there are 11 races who abduct. That number feels right to me. Intuitively, that number feels right. So that's a big deal. That's something that I actually want to contact him over and have numerous conversations with him about. Hopefully that will happen before the end of this year. Also, that said, and as Galen had said, very early menstruation. Yes, that's what PCOS is. So I started mine at 9 years old, 8.5, 9 years old. So that said, and that's what happens with women with PCOS. So I was abducted at 13 at the end of the year, because my birthday's in February, and end of February. And I was implanted with a viable embryo, fertilized egg, that they had gone in and implanted me with to become a surrogate mother at the age of 13. Think about that, folks. Why so young? It's to get, in my opinion, it's to get the eggs, produce as many eggs as is possible. Wow. Okay. So anyhow, so this goes into a form of, by the age of 14, I was, they less than a month after my birthday, they took the baby. Now, in my life at that time, I was hypersexualized. I'm just going to be blunt. So part of that, is going from kid into teenage years. I mean, adolescent stuff. But at the same time, that happens with a lot of abductees, specifically females. So you've got the normal human side of this, and then you've got them screwing with the female hormones, screwing with a lot of other factors. So, so at the age of 14, they had put that baby that they had implanted in me for a number of months that grew in my body, and then they took the baby at a specific point in time, and it was more than 3 months, because now it's 3 months. They've got it down to where it's now 3 months. It's not looking at 5 months. And yeah, I had some very horrific cycles, and a lot of PCOS women do when they're young. A lot of them do. And in my time frame, they didn't even approach the subject of PCOS back then. That wasn't even approached until the late 90s, mid to late 90s. And then by the early 2000s, it was really starting to become more predominant and talked about in the medical community and within patients. So, all right, that all said. So what I remember from the babies that I do remember, I have been consistently told that I've had 26 children, hybrid children. Yes, endometriosis as well, says Galen. Yes, exactly. So I've been consistently told that I've got 26 hybrid children. Last year I was told by another psychic that I actually had 28. And I've heard from the other side, they've said 29, which is just mind-boggling to me. But when you think about the fact that I'm 56 years old, you think about the fact that this started before I was 20. I mean, you're talking 13 years old. So it potentially makes sense. It means that I had a lot of... Now, I do know that when I was pregnant during the time of my human child, who is now 32, I think about that for a second. And before that, I know that they stopped. I also know that somebody messaged me and it kind of threw me off. I also know that... Oh, come on, Nikki, get it out. That it was almost a year after I gave birth to my human child that they started back up again with me. There was a definite, and here's the other thing that I've made the realization. If I hadn't have written things down, thank God I wrote things down for the menstrual cycles throughout my lifetime. Thank God I made notes about my medical history. I honestly don't think I would have been able to put all this together. This is why writing journal notes is so important. Different things that whether it's things that you're feeling, whether it's the medical stuff, it has allowed me to keep track of everything, and make sense of things. So what I've remembered is that I get taken. I've been asked, this is one of the questions that I was asked, are you allowed to remember? Some women are, some women are not. I am knocked out. The second I am taken, I am knocked completely out. They put me to sleep. That is very normal, very natural for them to do. They literally screw with the human brain to where, in a very specific way, they make you go to sleep. You have no control over it. You can fight it as much as you want. I had times where I was sitting in this chair, different location, and wide awake, had just gotten up, eaten, taken my vitamins, completely wide awake. And the next thing I know, I'm getting drowsy. And I'm like, I've got things to do today. I'm going to be places. What is going on? And then I started registering that I had ETs in my home. And I registered that they were trying to take me. And I literally said, well, 1, why don't the hell you show yourself? 2, quit. I've got places to go today. You are not taking me. Thank goodness this is one of the races that actually heard me. They didn't. They did it that night, but they were not happy about it because it screwed with their timing. That's the other thing that I made the realization through all of this process for me, is that there is a season for abductions regarding pregnancies. Figure out what season you're in. That could potentially help you determine which race of ET is taking you, if you are not remembering. That's a big deal. There's a number of races that are doing hybridization. Some of them are having the women actually breed sexual relations with certain ETs or certain hybrid men, or hybrid women for that matter, to where the genetics get that way, and then the women go through almost a full pregnancy or a full term pregnancy here on Earth, then are abducted and give birth on ship or elsewhere. Implantation, where you're the surrogate, different ballgame. In my experience, my personal experience. So I get taken, I'm put asleep, taken on board the ship. Very rarely have I remembered them trying to coerce my body. And I'm being very gentle in how I say this, because it's very, very specific. So they try to coerce the body into releasing eggs, because for some reason I know that they cannot take those eggs from the ovaries. The egg has to drop. There's something about it going through the fallopian tube. There's something about that. When they I know that when they take the eggs from the ovaries, there's something different, medically, genetically, I don't know what it's called, but there's something very different about the eggs when they take them directly from the ovaries. I've heard women, other abductees, say they took all my eggs. That's why I couldn't get pregnant. We couldn't find a single egg. They had medical testing. They couldn't find any eggs whatsoever. And the human medical testing, they couldn't find any of the eggs, which made no sense to the doctors. They couldn't figure it out why the woman was still having periods, but not having, or was not having periods at all, but had absolutely no eggs. Well, some of the abductee women that I know have stated, well, they've taken my eggs and I can medically prove it this way. That's not what they did with me. I'm one of those women where I know that there's something medical about the egg going down the fallopian tube, and into the uterus. So that said, there's a process there. I do not understand. I do not medically. I'm not a doctor. I don't ever freaking claim to be one. You got to do your own research on that. And any doctor who deals with genetics, contact me, please, because I would like to understand what it is about the egg, why it is not to them viable unless it travels through the fallopian tube and into the uterine lining to attach itself to the uterine lining. So I find that fascinating, and it would make a lot more sense to me if that part of it were explained. Anyway, so they force they force my body to release the egg, or a number of eggs, not at once, but one after another after another. I'm not okay with that. I talk about it, but I'm going to be very blunt. I absolutely hate that. I think it's an atrocious thing to do. And one of the ways that they force the body to do that in is orgasms. To be very blunt, there's something about when a woman has an orgasm, there's something happening within the can't think of the words. I literally just talked about it. Anyway, there's something about it with the release of all of it. So you go from that. I've never been, I can't say never. I just corrected myself because I just had a flashback of a memory that I'd completely forgotten about. But I have had times when I've been awake. That was one of the questions was, are you awake during the entire thing? No. There are times when I have been, and part of those for me are repressed memories. Those are not blocked. There's some of that are fully repressed because I'm like, no, I don't want to remember that. It's a different kind of emotional pain I don't want to deal with. I get that. I probably, because I've said that now, I probably won't remember. I have no interest in remembering that kind of stuff. So, and that can be very angering. I mean, that can piss people off. Well, they're doing this to you. They're forcing your body. Fine. Whatever. I don't give two shits if you're angry about it. That's your opinion. I get angry about it, but then I'm like, what the hell's the point in being angry about it? It's not going to get me anywhere. I've been asked, is this a race that in the abductions, is this a soul contract with them? Yeah, this specific race is a soul contract. So that means that I, in a previous life, before I came into this life, made a contract, made an agreement that this was okay in this lifetime. Am I happy about that right now? No. But yet, do I say that after knowing that I've had over 26 children, hybrid children? Well, then that discounts my children. So why would I? That would be the same as me saying, somebody asking me, well, are you ever happy that you had your son? I'd come after the person. Yes, I was very happy to have my son. I would not have changed anything about that. My son means everything to me. It's okay. And it's like those children, those hybrid babies, they mean everything to me. Those kids, I would do anything for them. And they know it. Because I have. One of them, two of them, I was going to say one, because there was one specific incident, but two of them nearly died. One because of something specific on a different planet. They got him off planet. Yes, it was a boy. They got him off. I've never said that before. They got him off planet. They came. They literally walked into my home. They told me what was happening, and they said, we need to take you now, or he's not going to survive. And I went willingly because that's my baby. You do what you need to do for your children, period. And I went willingly. I'm like, take whatever you need. I know you can replace whatever it is. Take whatever you need. And the other one was because of something that I ingested that I didn't know that they were allergic to. It nearly killed the baby that I was pregnant with at the time. And I to this day I still grieve over that I did something that's like, what the hell? That's so not okay. So my point is that, so there's a season. Figure out what season you're in. Figure out, for me, I'm taking very specific times in the year for implantation. Excuse me. For me, it's between October and December, and that's implantation time. Clean out time is usually August. My body cleans itself out in August, June through August, actually. And when they come and abduct me for the next season of removal of the baby, wow, somebody just said cut the baby out. I can't look at it that way, but that's essentially what it is that they do. I can't. If I look at it like that, I'll get angry, and that's not something I want in my conscious. That's not how I think of it at all. These are my children, and I'm a mom. Through and through, I'm a mom. It's like, no, that would dismiss all my kids. No way in hell am I going to do that. So somewhere between March, April, May, are the months. March through May are the months when they reabduct and they remove the infant. And then the baby gestates for 3 months. It used to be a lot longer. It's not anymore because of their sciences or whatever it is that they've done in their sciences in the last 40 some odd years. Because the last, I haven't figured it out. I got to figure that out. Because my first one, let's see. 68 plus, so 19. Okay. So my firstborn hybrid, she's 42, and it is a female. And it's interesting that somebody immediately, a psychic that I know, immediately told me, sorry, I've got a glass in here, and that's the clink you heard. They specifically told me, you name your children. The ETs don't know that you name your children. Well, as soon as that psychic said it out loud, they knew. And because I had never said that to anybody. Now everybody knows. BFD, big effing deal. I don't care. All of my children have names from me. The ETs name them something completely different, which just pisses me off no end. I can't control that. That is something that the ETs do. I do not know why. I can only assume why. But so there's a season. So basically, while you're pregnant with the babies, what takes place is they have some kind of It's a tracker. I don't know what kind it is. I don't know if it's etheric. I don't know if it's in your aura. I don't know if it's somehow attached to your womb. I don't know. I do know that as an abductee with this specific race that take me, because it is the Arcturians who work with a number of other races who do the abductions. The actual tall whites are the ones who do the abductions. The 7-foot tall looking, their skin is so pasty white that they look white. But they're actually a form of a gray, a very, very tall, skinny gray. And one of them is a father figure to me. Oddly enough, I'm not remembering his name, and that's, I think, my own brain's safety security measure. And I've known him since as long as I can remember. I remember having my arms and legs wrapped around his one itty bitty skinny leg when I was a little kid, and him showing me and teaching me about what I call the splicing and dicing of the genetics. Anyway, so you get taken, you get put asleep. This is how I'm abducted. Everybody's different. So when I get taken, I'm knocked out. I fall asleep. I end up going from being asleep to waking up on board ship. Sometimes, not all the time. And then they try to make a dream sequence happen in my brain to where it's like an erotic dream in some situations, and in other situations they try to, because I do not give up my eggs. I already know this about my body. I fight. My body fights them, instinctively fights them. And so they force my brain, and don't come at me with hate and anger. And I'm not going to listen to it. I don't give two shits. I get it. That's your opinion. This is what I'm just telling you what I experience. And I've never really gone through the process of this before with anybody. I've never fully talked this out. That's fine. So they knock me out. My body fights. It does not want to give up the eggs. That's fine. And so in order for them to get those eggs to release, they have to get me and my brain to fully relax. And they do that in very specific ways. And then they go into a dream state. They force my brain into a dream state and either do an erotic dream or some other measure in the dream, and or they create a dream sequence with another ET that I deeply love and care about, and I automatically relax because I feel safe. And I told them the last time they did that, they did it in such a way that I told them, I said, don't you ever do that to me again. I will make sure that you will never have access. I don't know how, but I know that my body can do it. And they were like, we'll never do it again. And I basically got promised. And so because I said it that way, I learned that you can actually direct them. They will listen to you as long as it's not coming from a fear factor. Mine came from anger, and because of how this situation was done. I will never describe the situation to anybody. It's none of your freaking business. I don't care who you are, who you think you are, or how close you are to me. There's no way in hell I'm going to describe that. There are things that are mine alone, and public doesn't need to know. Period. And that's how it should be with each ET, even if you are public. And I've had people come at me going, well, you're talking about this publicly, so everything should be talked about. Oh, F that. No. I have privacy factors. That's whatever. You don't get the right to know absolutely every frickin' little detail. I'm sorry. That's BS in my opinion. So, and yeah, I'm quite aggressive right now because this is a very specific subject. It's talked about in a very specific way, and it's extremely personal. And a lot of it is extremely private. And for me to even talk about this the way I am right now is a big deal. Really big deal. Oh, and I've had people come at me going, you're morbidly obese. They don't take people who are morbidly obese. Yes, they freaking well do. I know people who are bigger than me and they've been abductees. Oh, yes, they do. And I think one of the reasons why, and I've been classified medically in human medical terms, I have been classified by a number of doctors as I'm on the severe, God, I'm trying to remember how it was stated, and I'm not remembering it properly. I'm not remembering the proper words that were told to me. So please excuse us for the medical jargon. But I was told I was on the most extreme severe end of the spectrum of PCOS than that any doctor had ever come across. I'm like, okay, that's interesting. Because I don't go through depression, but I go through a lot of other things. So look up polycystic ovarian syndrome. And there's reasons why I don't go through depression. Thank God I went through my counseling. Thank God I deal with the B vitamins. Sorry, my ankle's popping. There's a lot of things that I have worked really hard on. So that's how you deal with a lot of that. All right. So they go through, they take you, they remove the eggs from your body. They force your body to release the eggs if you're not automatically releasing them, or it's that time of the month. That's what I was going to say. They track you. Medically, they track you. This is how they knew that the baby was in distress when I had ingested something for me to deal with a medical situation, forgetting that I was ET pregnant. I'd completely forgotten that I was ET pregnant. Which happens because sometimes the babies are just quiet as can be. And then other times you get a chatty Cathy. So, and you'll get an ET baby. The soul is just nonstop talking to you. Mama this and mama that, and can I this and can I that, and how come this, and you're human, and but I want to understand this and I want to understand that, and then you get absolute quiet because they actually go to sleep. Which gets interesting because their sleep patterns are very different than ours. I sing to each one of my babies just like I sing when I was pregnant with my son. I talk to them vocally, verbally, as well as telepathically. There is an energy between the two of you, just like when you're pregnant with a human child, a typical human baby. There's a connection. And yeah, there's a complete hormonal change. There are times where some women will still have periods while they're ET pregnant, and some won't. Most of the time, for me, I continued to have menstrual cycles while I was ET pregnant. Then there were times where I didn't. I've had numerous miscarriages, hybrid pregnancy miscarriages. There have been times when I've had near miscarriages, and they've saved the babies. So you go on board ship. They remove the eggs. They do the splicing and dicing of the genetic material in order to create. They take out. Okay, here's the thing. They take out what they don't want, whether that's human emotions and I didn't even know that could be a thing. That totally blew me away when I found that out. I mean, completely and utterly blew me out of the water when I found that out. So they have the ability to get extreme of the extreme in the genetics. I got told in the last number of years that they were trying something new and they were putting the human emotions back in. Because they wanted, basically, it was a trial and error type of thing. They wanted to see how the human emotions were going to affect the ET with all of their incredible abilities and sciences and all this other stuff. So, because the ones that I deal with, they're very legalistic, very, very legalistic. What we would call legalistic. You say something in your head, even as a self-thought or self-talk, and it's like talking to them. So they know what you're thinking. So you get taught early on to keep your mind as quiet as possible, if you can, because to them it's like you're screaming. So they do the genetic splicing and dicing. That can take some time. So you go from having the previous baby removed from you. Your body then goes through a regeneration or a sloughing off of what had just gone through. For me, that's usually June through August. Then the month of September is usually, so like now, because this right now is September 24th, 2024. So the month of September is kind of a regrouping of the hormones. Sorry, I've got a small fan going and it's driving me absolutely batshit crazy. It's driving me nuts. So in that was not pleasant on my back. In that month, your body is typically reacclimating. At least this is what's happened for me. Typically reactivating, goes through and deals with all the things before they go to do a reimplantation of you, which for me, as I've stated, is usually October through the month of December. So there's a cycle. And from what I remember, I actually remember being in what I can only describe as a surgical room. So when I've been taken and they do implantation. Hello, there goes the computer again. So somebody in chat, please tell me if I'm still running, still operating at a pair that I am. So the point is that during that, thank you, Christine, during that that implantation period, that cycle, you're on a table, and a lot of other women are on a table. You're basically naked from the waist down. I know that there's some kind of something covering my breasts. I don't remember what it is. I just remember having the sense of I'm not 100% naked. So that to me is a very big deal. Modesty. I mean, they have no issues about modesty whatsoever. None. It's incredibly frustrating to me personally, because I've always been, sorry, I gotta do the Adama Minerals Hydrating Lip Balm again. So anyway, my point is that you're on a table just like what a lot of other women are, and they're doing implantation after implantation after implant. You're literally in a row of women being implanted. That I remember. The previous time when they're trying to get the eggs, different ball game. Yeah, exactly. So it's kind of a big deal. You're alone in a room with the, lack of better words, scientists. That is completely different, and it's a big room. I remember it being a big room, but there is nobody else around. Not that I remember. I mean, there just aren't. There's nobody else there other than the scientists or the ones that you've got real connection to. And the interesting thing is, now that I think about it, because it didn't even dawn on me until this very second, not all of the ETs that are in that room are telepathic. Think about that one. There are very, very specific ones that are telepathic, and there are very specific ones who are not. Okay, so we've dealt with the process of the egg retrieval, the premature menstrual cycles, the egg retrieval, the on board of the rest of that. Now, here's the thing. When you have a removal, baby that is being removed, they are two, quote, as we humans would call it, they are to term in the human body. Well, they have been able to create a gelatinous type liquid material. I don't know what else to call it. It's either blue or green. Excuse me, it's very specific. I've seen both. I've seen my babies in blue, and I've seen my babies in green. So the babies are taken from you and immediately put into this gelatinous, into a cylinder, and into usually a large cylinder, into this container of goo. I do not know what happens to the sac, to the pregnancy sac, the embryo. Can't think of the word again. I did this last week. God dang it. Anyway, so I don't know what happens to that sac. I don't know what happened, how the baby reacts. I'm not aware of that. I know that they knock me out to take the babies from me, because if they don't, I'm going to fight. I already, maternal in me, the maternal mother in me will fight for that infant in a hardcore way. I get into like battle ready status. And I will fight. So I usually know when I get abducted, or about when I'm going to be abducted. For years, I've never understood the high pitch frequency. I didn't understand that until 2018 and 2019, when I started really having flashbacks and full memories, and I was just stunned. So there are different races of ET who take me. This specific race has a very specific pitch, and a tone. I do not know how to describe it. It hits my ear, and it's always my left ear, always. Speaking of which, I had one yesterday. It was a very specific pitch. So at some point, I'm going to be taken. If I haven't been already, I don't feel like I have been, but I've had experiences where I didn't think I was, and then I actually was. I had started having flashbacks of memory, and I'm like, oh my God, it really was. Because I didn't come back feeling like I had to piss like a racehorse. Because that's usually what happens to me after I'm on board. I come back and I'm like, get me to the bathroom now. And as it's been described to me from other abductees, and actually from them, because after it was made known to me by other abductees, I started asking them about it, and they're like, yeah, it has to do with the pressure on the ship, and there's a bunch of other factors to it. And because my kidneys are affected a specific way, after one specific race that they did the pregnancy with, yes, they do. That's an excellent question, Christine. Christine is saying, do they hydrate you like our version of IV fluids? Yes, they do. Matter of fact, if it's needed, you not only have a specific fluid going through you, you also, which is another reason why I end up having to ferociously pee so badly after I get off ship. They can actually replace your blood, your entire the I can't remember the quarts, the amount of quarts that are in a human of blood. They can actually replace your entire blood system, but that takes a specific amount of time, and you're gone for a while. So, and when you come back, it's like you're drunk. It's like you are batshit out crazy drunk, because you cannot, but yet you're clear headed, but yet you're not at the same time. You don't have any alcohol in your system, but when you go to walk, you're walking like because you cannot walk straight. You can't. So typically they'll have somebody with you. They'll keep an ET with you for anywhere from half hour to an hour, a couple of hours, depending upon, and they'll keep some kind of monitor. For me, they keep a monitor on my forehead. I take that back. Sometimes it's been on my arm or on my wrist. So they used to do a round circle patch. It was metal. Matter of fact, I still to this day can't fucking touch that arm in that spot. It is too goddamn sensitive. It's a piece of metal. It's round. It's about I don't know. I can't access but it's about this big around. It's pliable. It's some kind of metal. It's very thin, but it's not thin like a piece of rubber, thin rubber or anything like that. But it's solid, but it is pliable. It can bend, although it doesn't like to bend. And they put it on, and it literally, their technology, it literally, your skin goes, it sucks it right in. And anytime they've ever used that on me, I finally told them, I said, you do realize I'm having an allergic reaction to that. Oh, we're sorry. We didn't know that. I'm like, how can you not know that? I have been telling you this, that I have had, and it's like a burn mark. I get and I used to take pictures of it. I don't take pictures of it anymore because it's like, why the hell bother? I just, it's like, it's one of those, I've been doing this for so long that it's just like, why bother? Again, there were times where it's like I absolutely had to have it proven to me that I wasn't losing my mind. And when I finally said, "Hey, you're literally causing what looks like either a radiation burn on me. You're literally blistering my skin in that area," and it came with a great big circle on that spot. So, yeah, they finally stopped doing that about 3 years ago, 4 years ago. 2021. They finally stopped doing that in 2020. I had to think about that a second. Yeah, 2021. So yeah, but they do hydrate you. They do keep you hydrated. They or if they need to. So I haven't gotten to what I want to talk, all the questions that I've really been asked about. One of them was, okay, so let's see if I can call this stuff up. So are you awake the whole time? Do you get any pain meds? Okay, no. So these are for those that are just coming in. These are questions that was presented to me last week after I had already done my show, and a friend started having all kinds of questions, and so I wanted to be sure that, which is why I changed today's show. I want you. This foot is just popping like crazy. Sorry, guys. So if you're hearing the popping, I apologize. So this is a process. I don't think I've ever gone through the entire length. It is a lengthy process. This is a year-long process because the body takes a while to reacclimate to things. So are you given any pain meds? Do you get any pain meds? No. Because they deal with a specific section of the brain. I just got I think it's the amygdala. Anyway, there's a section in the brain that deals with physical pain, and they shut that section down. I know this from, I know it from vast experience, but I'm not going to get into, if I get into all of that, we will never get out of here. There's a whole nother process to that one. But yeah, they shut a certain section of brain that deals with pain down. And that's pretty typical. So if you start experiencing pain and they're one of the races who actually give a damn about your pain level, you can tell them you need to cut the pain off. You've got to cut that section. You got to cut the pain off. I can't. I'll be screaming, and then they'll try to shut the telepath, and then they can't. So the telepathic side of you screaming in your head, because to them, like I said, that's telepathic communication. Even if you, as a human, don't think that it is. Well, hello, self-talk is a form of telepathic communication. If somebody else is telepathic around you and can hear it. ETs taught me early on to make the connection and cutting off that part of the telepathy. There's only telepathy for me unless I'm around somebody. Oh my God. Unless I'm around somebody who is already telepathic in a very specific way. I've had people when I've stated that I'm a telepath, or telepathic. They're like, "Well, do you know what I'm thinking right now?" No, because I've got you blocked. And a lot of times I don't even register that I've got people blocked. Then there are times where the energy of somebody, like if you're out in public and somebody is just screaming in their head, I mean, you feel it before you hear it. And if you even remotely open that section of your own mind up, you can hear it all. And it's like, no, because that will drive, it can literally make you go insane if you heard everybody's thoughts all the time, 24/7, and heard them even from a distance. That can literally make you go insane. So they taught from a very early age, you don't mind speak unless you have actually something to say to them. So there's that aspect of it. The ones that I deal with, that's what I've been taught. And it's so automatic that I live my life like anybody and everybody else does, day to day, doing my stuff. Sometimes I don't think about things and I just get shit done. I am not anybody special in that regard. I live like everybody else, day to day. And yeah, I've got these abilities, and if spirits come to me and they start yap, 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 yap in my ear, in my head, then I'm like, oh God, what do you want? And then there are times where they'll stand in my room near my bed, or I've got two spirits who are siblings. They're older gentlemen. They love sitting in my recliner, rocking back and forth in a very specific way. And it's funny because one of them had a message for me last week. And I know somebody who was psychic, and they said, I've never gotten names before, but I've got a name. And they said the name, and I'm like, holy shit. Yeah. And I'm like, because I haven't been paying attention. A lot of times I start tuning out the psychic side of me because I'm like, you get so fed up. Can you shut it off? Yeah. For some people, no. But because of what I've been taught via the ETs, yeah, I can. Not always, but if I'm really tired, they take advantage of me in a big way. All of them start going, that's beside the point. So yes, the ETs can shut off a certain section of your brain. They can, for pain, and they do that quite frequently for a lot of humans. And then there are times where they just don't, and you start screaming, and they're like, why are you screaming? This shouldn't hurt. Well, you didn't shut off the section of my brain that deals with pain. Hello, it does hurt. Don't tell me it doesn't hurt when it does. And then they're like, oh, okay. So then they deal with it. So you get the babies in the gestational containers. Talked about that. The babies, I've actually been in astral. I've talked about this before. I had a friend give me one of my best Christmas gifts that I've ever had. They took me in astral to where one of my hybrid children was on board ship. Actually, the infant had been transferred from onboard ship to a planet, so I had gone through what I thought were portals, but they spun. Actually, to come to find out, those were vortexes. And my friend took me to see my hybrid one of my hybrid children while they were in gestational container. And because that's what they call it, is a gestational, they call it something else other than a container. I don't remember the word, but gestational. And so it's where the baby grows. And as soon as I came out of the last vortex, hey, Drew, as soon as it's good seeing you, hon. As soon as I came out of the vortex in astral with my friend, above the planet, and I saw the ship, that's a whole nother mind. God, going through that ship in astral, that's a whole nother mind fuck. I mean, hardcore. So basically, yeah, going through the ship in astral, looking for your kid and feeling the draw of the energy from on board that ship to where that kid was on planet, automatically went straight to him. My soul just went, there he is. And yeah, it was a little boy at the time. And I went straight to him, and he woke up. He was sound asleep, and he woke up and he goes, Mama, you're here. How? And I told him, and oh God, now repeated that one, Drew. So anyway, it just, I got to be with my baby, and I got to see the other kids, the other children, but he and I, he connected, and it meant a lot to me. It still does. It means a great, great deal that I was allowed to go do that. It was one of the best, if not the best Christmas gift I've ever had. And so I had the memories from that. It was just incredible. I was so high. I was so psychically high. It was just, it meant everything. I had my etherical, because I was in astral, so I don't know how else to describe this. I had my etherical hands all over that container. And we talked. I mean, I got to talk to my baby, and his soul, I'm so happy for him. I mean, his soul is beautiful, and he was beautiful, and then God, it really did. It meant so much to me. Mama, you're here. I will never forget his voice. It just, yeah, astral can be like a drug. Yeah, it really can, says Drew. It really can. Astral can be. So can higher consciousness if it's done right. Okay, which side is this? It's driving me nuts. It's there. Okay. Anyway, pardon me. Little moments. Little moments being a lady, being a girl. So anyhow, so I got to see him, and when I came back, I was on a energetic high, an astral high, and a higher consciousness high for almost 24 hours after that. It made everything. It meant so much to me. But, and I was so dizzy afterwards too. I mean, going through the vortexes, I thought they were portals. But anyway, so they literally sorry, I was getting messages. So they're in a gestational container for however long their hybrid is hybridism is. So because they're human is obviously 9 months, but with the specific race of ET that they've been spliced and diced with, it's dependent upon that specific race of ETs gestational or pregnancy gestational term. And so I've had babies who were basically gestational for 3 months. I've had them up to 4.5. So I've had hybrid pregnancies that have lasted for 3 months. I've had them last for 5 months. But now with time, and here's the other thing. So like, it also depends upon, yes, what race they do the splicing and dicing with, but how fast they grow. Because with certain, like I've had feline human pregnancy where those babies get big. They actually end up hurting me physically, because it's like, so you can be 3 months pregnant, but you feel like you're 6, 7, 8 months pregnant. I mean, there's a big difference. They go from like really little to what feels like just huge. And you can actually feel them starting to shift your organs around in your body, like you would in month 6, 7, and 8 of a human pregnancy. That's huge, folks. That's a big deal. So there are certain races that are bigger genetically, whereas, so if you've got a hybridized gray, whether they're like one of the tall grays or whether they're one of the shorter grays. Tall grays, I mean like 6, 7 feet tall. Shorter grays, I mean like 5 feet, 4 or 5 feet. You're looking at a very different skeletal structure. You're looking at a smaller infant. So there's the size comparison with the pregnancies. There's a big difference. Reptilians, you feel the reptilians. They're big. They're usually you feel like you're pregnant. And those were that was in the 1990s for me. That was the mid 1990s. That said, so like with the reptilian pregnancies you'll feel it. You'll physically feel it. Some of these other pregnancies, like the ETAs, you're not going to necessarily feel it as much. Okay, so there's a difference with that. Oh, that's for sure. Never ever make them mad. Well, that's a human emotion. Depends on which race of ET you're talking about, Drew. The Laborians and the Lyrans, I would never piss off. The reptilians, ooh, my no. That's an emotion. The other ones, they don't so much have that. Okay, sorry guys, my nose is starting to drip. Drippy. Sorry. So there's that side. Okay, now I got to do this again. There's that side of it. So then you've got the side where they take you again, they abduct you again. So you are monitored during the time that you are ET hybridized, ET pregnant with a hybrid baby. You are monitored. And it can be in various different ways. If the baby is in distress, if the mother is in distress, They will come and deal with the situation immediately. They literally stop everything that they're doing, and they will come and find you and deal with the situation, whatever the situation is. So they take care of you in that way. And it's because of the baby that they're taking care of you, to be blunt, be very blunt. So let's see. So you go from when it's time to birth the baby, because that's what they call it, birthing, birthing. They remove the baby from the container or from the sack, depends on how. And I personally, this is a personal opinion, personally I think that what makes the ETs put an infant from the mother into a container versus a sack depends on the race of ET that those genes have been spliced and diced with. That's my personal opinion. That's based on what I've experienced, based on what I've seen, and highly suspect, have never been told that I logically remember, critically thinking remember. God, that's driving me nuts. There we go. This is why I want my hair shorter. Drives me nuts when it's like this. Like, anyway, so yeah, so you're taken. For me, I'm usually knocked out. They put me to sleep. There goes the knee. Finally, sorry, I've been waiting on that for about a week. Sorry if you heard that. It was my knee popping. It doesn't happen very often, but when it does, it really needs to do it. So, trying to remember. What the hell was I? So when the babies are birthed, you just before the birthing, you are brought back on ship. Once you're on ship, you are put into their clothing that monitors you. It's snug fitting, but it's comfortable. You do not feel like you are naked, but yet you do feel like it, but you don't have that. When you're, how do I say this? When you're walking around, you do not have the indecency feeling. Even though as a woman, your nipples can be seen or your crotch can be seen, but it's like you don't have that camel toe that women have. It's like it's not there in the fabric, but your nipples, however, are seen, are viewed. But yet you literally do not feel like you're naked. It's the weirdest sensation in feeling. It's the only way I can describe it. It's like a bodysuit. Covers your feet, but yet it doesn't. I always felt like I was walking barefoot on ship. Yet I could feel the ship itself. I could feel the floor of the ship. It was like I did not have any socks or any fabric between the skin of my feet and the ship, but yet I did. I don't think I've ever described that part of it. There's so many things flashing through my head right now, so many different memories. So you're put into this fabric, and then you are taken into what is essentially a it's like 3 sections of an extremely large room. I don't know how else to describe it. Basically, you're taken into this room. You're walking down a hallway. You enter there. The hallway is all walls. There are doorways that are usually in the shape of a rectangle. They're not always square at the corners, which I find that fascinating. Doors, if they want privacy because they hear the feet on the floor, or there's a flow, there's an energy flow and rhythm, or if you're communicating and they're hearing you. Hey, Robert. Yes, the walls open and can become translucent. Thank you, Robert. That's exactly where I was headed with that. They will shut doors that, I mean, it's just automatic, and it's not the ETs in the room closing it, it's the ship, because on this type of ship, the ship is conscious. It's living metal. It literally, yeah, living ship, says Robert. Yeah, the walls literally come in and close. So think of the movie Harry Potter, and I don't know that one, but what I was going to use was an example. See, Robert's saying, think of like Moira from Farscape. I never watched Farscape. I've tried to, and I've never been able to get into it. So the only way that I can think of it as is like the room of requirement in Harry Potter, where the walls just open and close automatically. Hey, Woo Riders, welcome, dear. So you're walking down a hall from just being on board, and they've just put you in your clothing, or in their clothing, that I can't even say if it's sprayed on you or if you get into, it's just, I'm woken up and I'm in it. I'm not butt ass naked. And it has all the ability to monitor everything about you. Your blood pressure, your heart rate, your breathing, your oxygen saturation, all of it. Excuse me, and then some. It monitors like all the cells in your body. I mean, it's like really intense stuff. I don't think I've ever talked about that either. But it monitors everything. I don't know if it monitors your brain, and what I mean is your thoughts. I don't know if it monitors any of that. But you go from being taken on board, being put in material, and you're walking down hallways, and then and things are round. Things are in, I don't remember corners. I remember everything's in curves. It curves around. And yet the ship that I remember being on was not round. It was a giant rectangular ship. But yet I remember being on board other round ships. So go figure. Anyway, but this specific incident, everything was curved and rounded, and many levels, like many floors going up into the ship. I was going to call it a building, but it's a ship. And so you walk through these hallways, you see these doors, and if they want privacy, literally there are no doors, no nothing, and the ship literally creates a door. It's incredible. Absolutely freaking incredible. You get to this area, this room that there is a wall, and then there's no wall, and it becomes this not arched doorway, but like but no sharp corners. A doorway. You walk through it. It's about, I'm trying to think. So these are 3. So it's probably about 9 feet wide. The doorway is about 9 feet wide. And you walk through, and the wall closes behind you. No seams, no nothing. I mean, it's just a holodeck. That's the other thing I was thinking of, Star Trek and the holodeck. And seamless, just absolutely seamless. And then you walk through an area that has infants, already birthed infants, that are in the arms of what we call the nursemaids, or what are called nursemaids. That's what the ETs told me that they are called, is the nursemaids. They do have individual names. I've never remembered names. So you have hybrid clones. You have clones. They're all clones. All the nursemaids are clones. They're 4'9" to 5'2". They're not over 5'2". They're usually around 5 feet. The ones the what I call the charge nurses, they're about 5'4". I had to think about that a second because of how tall I am versus how tall they are in front of me. And so you'll have children, you'll have infants in the arms of the nursemaids. You'll have older infants, or what appear to look like older infants, in the arms of nursemaids. You'll have toddlers walking or trying to walk. So you're walking through this room, this one big room, and then you walk from that room into another area where some of the moms, the human moms, are playing with their children. And we're talking like what appear to look like young children, really young children. And then you go from that area where that's kind of where you stand and watch, and you wait for a couple of minutes, not very long. I don't even think it's 5 minutes. And by that point, your infant has been birthed from its container or sac, gestational container, gestational sac. And you go from that into where they're cleaned up and they're brought out on the shoulder, on the right shoulder of the, for me, this is my right, on the right shoulder of the nursemaid, butt ass naked. And my infants usually sense my energy from across the entire room, and they will try to get out of the nursemaid's arm. The nursemaid knows this. I've only had one infant actually jump out of the arms. Oh, it's a totally different ballgame. I talked about that, I think, a year and a half ago. It totally freaked me out. I mean, like, really freaked me out. It's because that infant was hybridized with two very specific ETs. And he very much reminded me of a monkey, but he wasn't. He looked very human, very, very, very human. Anyway, so they will try to get out of the nursemaid's arms, and from across the room as the nursemaid is walking through the main door, or the main, what I had just walked through, and or that area that I had walked through. And then you go from that, and you pretty much stay put. You don't walk very much, if any at all. Hang on a second. My body's starting to pester me. Hang on a second, guys. Ooh, really starting to hurt. Okay, so anyway, you go from them walking across, the nursemaid with the baby walking across the room, to the baby reaching out for you. Knowing your energy, it knows you immediately, wants its mother immediately, and you are literally, you take the baby, and the baby literally, you don't even have to turn the baby around, the baby turns itself around, and you literally put it over your heart. And the ETs want you doing that. I don't know why my skin is so itchy. Oh, it's because I used a different soap. My shower today. Anyway, so basically you go from that. You have a circadian, it's called a circadian rhythm. It's a bond that you've got. It's going, and as soon as that baby feels your heartbeat, it literally, everything about it calms down. You're taken to, you literally either rock your baby, whatever, as you're standing. And the ETs, you literally turn around, there's nothing on the floor behind you, but you've got a number of ETs, tall ETs, 6 foot, 7 foot tall ETs, and I've never talked about this. Okay. I've never even mentioned this to anybody. You'll typically have who the father is, who the ET father is, that they took the genes from, that they took the sperm from, or what we would call sperm. And the father is typically never allowed to be near you. They are allowed to watch you. I just got told I'm going to get into trouble for this. We had emotion. Wow. Oh, good grief. So, yeah, this is an emotional roller coaster, as you can see. Trying to fight the tears at the moment. So, the male ET, there's only ever, that I remember, only ever once where I've had the father stand right next to me, stand beside me, hold my back, hold my arm while I was holding my child. Never talked about that. So, they're more than 6 feet, the men, the ET men. They're, thank you for the hearts. They're more than 6 feet away. They cannot, for whatever reason, they are not allowed to come near the mothers. At least this is my experience. I don't know what other ET abductees remember or have talked about regarding this. I'm trying to think of how far 6 feet. No, it's more than 6. God. Sorry. Got the tear going. That's more than 6 feet away. It's got to be more like 7 or 8, because that wall is 6 feet. So it's got to be more like 8 feet. Oh, and there goes the nose because it got the. Good grief. Sorry, folks. Good grief. Anyway, so point being is that the fathers are there watching. I do not know if there is a wall, like a clear wall, or like Robert had called it translucent. But they are not allowed to come near us. They're allowed to watch. There's a group of ETs that, and I'm facing them. So when I have the baby in my arms, and I'm seeing, I was just gonna say cadre, and I don't know why I was about to say cadre. But you see ETs, they're in like white. It's almost like a uniform, a body uniform. But I remember it being white. I have seen blue, or the palest version of blue, type of uniform from like the neck down to the toes, or covering the toes. Sometimes I've seen it only covering to what we would call ankles. So I've got the baby in my arms. I turn around. There's nothing on the floor. And an ET says circadian rhythm chair. And the next thing you see is the floor, the metal, the living metal, the conscious metal creating a chair. It doesn't come, it comes up out of the floor, but the floor creates it. It doesn't come up like you've got an opening in the floor and then a chair raises. It's not like that at all. It's like a rocking chair. It's a form of what I can only describe as what looks like a metal rocking chair. And you're instructed, you're reminded. Originally, it was instruction, but you're reminded that you need to sit in the chair, and you just want to stand there and hold, because you know that the moment you sit in that chair, your time is even shorter with that baby, because they will literally take that baby out of your arms. And yeah, I have fought. That's a whole other subject. So anyway, I usually end up I delay that as long as I possibly can, as long as they will allow it. I usually get an extra minute or two at the most. And then a hand comes on my back. It's usually one of the tall whites. A hand is on my back, and I am slowly walked. Not necessarily willingly. I am slowly walked, because I'm trying to make my time with my baby as long as I possibly can. So this one's really hard for me, because I miss my kids. Anyway, so the point is that hand comes on my back. I'm slowly walked to that chair, and I sit down in the chair, and there's some kind of energy field that happens between the human mother and the infant. Thank you, Christine. I appreciate that. So the point is that as soon as that's over with, and you're rocking, you're literally, and that the other thing is that the chair is actually on a platform. There was no platform, no nothing there before. It was straight floor, and literally the floor comes up to create this chair, this circadian rhythm bonding chair. That's what it's called. And you're sitting there and you're rocking, and you can actually feel the energy. There's like an energy wave. It's ET related. I don't know exactly how, but it's ET related. We do not have anything. Our bonding with human babies is very different. You bond the minute they come out of you. You bond. There's many different levels of bonding. And why do I have somebody around me right now. So the point is that you bond in the chair, and once the baby is taken from you, and it's very specific. The amount of minutes, the amount of seconds is very, very specific in that bonding chair. You and that infant do not want to let go of each other. But for whatever reason, that bonding chair literally puts that baby to sleep. They do not wake up when they are removed from you. There's something about that bonding cycle. It is a cycle. I don't know why or in what reason, but I have my suspicions as to what this bonding is used for. There's a specific connection that I think needs to happen so that these children are not like what I would call pod babies. They're not a clone where you don't have, it's not even the right way to say it. But, oh God, here goes the nose again. Sorry, guys. So it's not like where I know the clones that they have created. Some of them have mothers, and then there are clones that they have created that absolutely do not have mothers. They don't have that attachment at all. And I think that the lack of attachment makes them more susceptible to control. I think that's my suspicion. That's one of my many suspicions. I've never talked about any of that either. But you are in that bonding chair for that baby and for you there, but specifically for that baby. And you rock in that chair. There's some kind of energy surge between you and the baby, and there's some kind of energy barrier that happens, and it's color coded. I've never talked about that. The bonding chair does a lot of things all at once. I want to be sure that I get all of this person's questions in here. Yeah, I think I got all of them. I had a sorry guys, it's just because of the emotion. I had another abductee ask me questions because they're having flashbacks of things. And they don't remember their infants, but anytime they have heard me and certain others talk about our experiences, these specific kinds of experiences, they told me that others do not affect the other people the way they talk. It doesn't affect them. But the way I describe things, the way certain other women describe things, their body physically reacts. One of the things that I told this person, and it's very specific sections of body that react. One of the things that I told this person is that, well, are you connecting to the story, or are you connecting to the and they're like, no, I have a specific kind of pain for a specific amount of days. And I said, oh, well, I suspect that your body is telling you that certain things have taken place. Because I don't want to put certain things in that person's head, but or lead them, which some people in hypnosis lead. That's not okay. You got to let the person in hypnosis come to their own thing. So I know SOR is on. I'm almost done, folks. I've been going for 2 hours and 50 seconds right now, so I am almost done. Yeah, I plan on staying on. I want to get done with this. So Christine says you can stay on if you want. And I'm like, yeah, I want to get through this in all one section. This is very important, for especially for those who are experiencers who do go through this and have bits and pieces of memory. And it's because of this one specific individual who asked me a lot of questions last week. And I was like, okay, we are changing the topic of discussion for Tuesday's live broadcast because this is that important. So, and I bring up a lot of different things, a lot of the same stuff over and over again because it is so important. There's a lot of stuff that I don't talk about that is just as important, but it's way too personal. Way too personal. I've never talked about, oh God, I start bawling again. Well, that wasn't bawling. That was, I was trying to fight the emotions. I've never talked about the men, the ET males, who've stood, who've wanted me as a mother, who wanted me specifically to be a mother of their child. I've known some of them. I've never talked about that either. I recognize their energy. Faces are blocked from my memory, and I think that's for safety. I think they did block. I don't think that that's a repressed memory. I think that the ETs have blocked that. I honestly do not believe that that's a repressed memory situation. I think that's a blocked memory for a very specific security reason. Funny enough, I know who the father is of my very first hybrid pregnancy. I know who her father is. Never said that out loud to anybody. I know the fathers of the Lyran and Laborian children. Laborians and Lyrans, plural. I do not have a memory of the father of the reptilians children that I've had. I can feel them, but I do not have memory. I think that's a repressed memory, to be honest. I think that's repressed for a very specific reason. I think I was too horrified. Way too horrified. I think I've had, I think they did some kind of genetic splicing and dicing with some kind of mantid and reptilian, or they had already done that kind of thing, and that hybrid had, there's a form of an ET that I know. How do I say this? There's a form of an ET that I know that is somehow a combination of the two. I do not know how. I don't really give two shits in how, to be quite honest. I know that. It's not something I suspect. It's not something. It's like gut instinct. And I know that the ETs, the tall whites, they did the splice, what I call the splice and dice. I think it was the tall whites. I could be wrong, but that's how I know it, as the tall whites were doing the splice and dice. I think that they were the ones who did that for the genetics. I do know that they can splice and dice 3 genetic makeup together with an egg. So you've got a human egg as the base, and you've got 2, somehow they're doing the splice and dice with the 2 male genetics, 2 separate males and the genetics, 2 separate ETs with their genetics. I know that can be done. I just don't know how. So that's essentially the process when you are after the circadian rhythm bonding chair, circadian rhythm bonding chair. You are essentially removed from the ship and transported home. When you're taken out of the clothing, and that's the other thing. That clothing sterilizes your physical body. I did talk about that a couple years ago, like 1.5, 2 years ago. That clothing, there's something about that clothing that literally sterilizes your body, because a lot of times they don't, from what I remember, is that there's something about the cleanliness of the ship. They don't like it when you pee. They don't like it when you shit. I'm just going to be blunt. So don't piss and don't shit on the ship. They want you, if you've got to do that, if you've got to urinate or you've got to have a bowel movement, they don't want you doing that on board their ship, at least to my experience. That's my personal experience. I know others that say that too. There's something about it that they don't want you doing. I can only imagine it has to do with toxicity level, the ship being a living metal. There's something about the genetics and the pristineness of things. So it's almost like you're a chemical toxicity to them. I find that absolutely fascinating. Do I think it's right? No, but do I understand it? Yes. What else? I'm trying to think of if there's anything else that I need to. So, as a hybrid mother, because I don't know what else to call myself. I am a human mother who is the host, the surrogate of hybrid ETs. Your body, your muscle, you have muscle memory. Your body remembers. Your cells, every cell in your body remembers. Does your brain remember? Well, no, but you can have physical experiences just from hearing. So I'm gonna make a statement. I was playing a Facebook AI game yesterday, and I came across an image, and I thought, well, what the hell, why not? And it triggered flashback memories. It triggered them in my body before they triggered in my brain. And I started going through, and then I started receiving downloads. Weird freaking timing to receive downloads, but that's your body remembers. You can have physical response to things that you are not consciously remembering right now. That's not pleasant. You need to take care of yourself. I highly recommend that you take care of yourself during those moments. It is crucial to you surviving this. This is a huge mind F to a human. Huge mind fuck. Excuse the language throughout this, but there are times where it's necessary. It's hard to wrap your mind around this. We have been so trained and ingrained by society, by family, by friends, by business associates, by whoever in your life, that this stuff isn't possible. I have had conversations with people telling me you're full of shit. I've had conversations with people in different chats who are like, there's no such thing as hybrids. There's no such thing as abductions. There's no if ETs are that powerful, then they can wipe us out. Why haven't they wiped us out? There are people who are going to it's a version of discrimination. It's a version of what they believe, and they're placing everything on you. You have to fight that. It's not easy. You have to stay mentally strong. To survive this, you have to stay mentally strong, and that's not easy to do. And our own government does not want this coming out. But guess what? You know what I say to them. Great big middle finger to them. Because this is happening, and it's time we all start talking about it. And it's time we start coming out of their closet going, hey, I'm here. I'm real. Get used to it, because I'm going to talk about it, whether you want it talked about or not. And yeah, the government has been working since 1932, or so says the book that I read. So, the very specific book that they know I know about. Anyway, that all talked about. Circadian rhythm bonding chair has been a big source of conversation in my life recently because other people have asked if you want to know more about it. There's very in-depth things about it that I have not talked about. So when you come up out of that chair, it literally deconstructs itself and then goes back into the floor. It becomes the floor again. There's aspects to it. You are observed. I have talked about me fighting. I have fought a number of times where they have tried to remove the infants out of my arms. Where are you going to go, Nikki? How the hell are you going to get off the ship? That's not how they put it, but they get very legalistic. Where do you think you're going? How are you going to get off the ship? You know, how are you going to transport you and that kid back to Earth, back to your home, back to your bedroom, back to your apartment, back to your property, wherever? They get very logical, but they get very legalistic. So you can fight all you want. It's not going to do you any good. And they will subdue you. They will subdue your brain. I've had my brain subdued. I've actually had one of the Lyran and Laborian races men who stood next to me put their hands on my back, put their hands on my shoulder, look me in the face, and actually tell me, or stood next to me and telepathically said to me, you need to stop now, or they will. And ... I'm not going to say what I was told, but I have been told what would happen to me if I didn't stop. It's interesting that the Lyran and the Laborians were allowed that close to me. The fathers. It was very, very interesting. I do not understand why, nor do I really care, but I'm very thankful for them for doing what they did. So, sorry. I had a memory I haven't thought about in a while. Anyway, they're my babies. Even though they are hybrids, they came from me. They were in me. And yeah, I have gotten to see a couple of my kids. So, after they're grown, that's the other thing that I haven't talked about in quite some time is how fast they grow. I think I talked about, okay, do that. There we go. The thing that the kids grow, depending upon the race of ET that they've been spliced and diced with, the kids grow really fast. Some of them, it takes a few months and they are a full-grown adult. I'm not joking when I say that. I've witnessed it. It's just mind-bending. And others, which is one of the reasons why they have to stay on board the ship. Once they are grown, physically grown, they literally look like they're 30 years old, 25 to 30 years old, as adults. I mean, they are literally full grown, but mentally they are like a young 9, 10, 12, between 9 and 13 years old is where they are mentally. Physically, they look like they're, I would say, well, I really shouldn't have said 25. More like they look like they're between 28 and 32. But they're the mental age between 9 and 13 years old. And they are taught. And that's one of the other reasons why they are kept on board, because they are literally medically conditioned a specific way to grow that rapidly. There is Okay, so when a baby goes through, a baby or a toddler or even a young child goes through quote unquote growing pains, a human child, imagine what it would be like for the ETs. Now, what I know about these children is that during that time frame, they are taught how to control their pain levels. I know that. They are taught to control, because of their abilities in their brain, they are taught very, for them, simplistic measures to control pain levels in their brain. It's all telepathic. It's all very specific to do with specific sections of their brain. And they are taught how to deal with all of that. Pretty freaking important in my book. I can't even fathom what that would all do for them. I mean, seriously, think about it. Think about what that means for that child. And they're going through enormous, rapid growth. I've known some hybrid children where they go from infancy to adult physical size in 30 days. 30 days. I still can't wrap my head around that. I thought they were lying. These guys don't lie. They don't lie. And some of the races, they live 1,200 years. Others, 2,800 years. Others, 900, 1,000 years. I can't even imagine. I have a hard time imagining 150 years. I can imagine it, but I have a hard time with it. I mean, that's, can you imagine? I mean, just, it's mind-boggling. The science behind that. I mean, it's so far beyond. So I had a child, a hybrid, my first hybrid child, 42 years ago. 42. That's a drop in the frickin' bucket for her. I can't even, it's absolutely, and oh my God, she's gorgeous. Oh my God, she's drop dead gorgeous. Just gorgeous. Tall. Incredibly tall. Just, but beautiful. Oh my God, they split. I know what, you know, I let it go. Anyway, so my point is that this is a process. There's a lot to it. The human cycle, the human medical cycle, menstrual cycle, they screw with, so that they can acquire more and more eggs. I know that they've got a number of my eggs left, and that they are capable of doing a number of more children with me. Oh, the other thing is that as far as I understand it, and as far as I know now, right now, as of today, September 24th, 2024, they are not capable, for whatever reason, it has something to do with the genetics, I know, but they are not capable of implanting another woman's egg that's been fertilized, hybridized, into another woman. There's something about that they are not capable of. It doesn't become a viable baby. I mean, I don't know why in the grand scheme of things. I mean, it's got to be I mean, on one hand, it makes sense. On another hand, it's like, well, if you're that advanced, see, this is where I'm coming from. If you're that advanced, then why can't you do the genetic splicing and dicing in such a way to where it makes it like a almost like a clone? And I suspect that they're not capable of doing that. Otherwise, it would cause some kind of major issue. So, with the all I can think of is the word genetics. That's not what I mean, but there's something to do with how the baby grows, how the how the physical damn this nose, how the baby grows, how everything. Sorry, guys. How everything happens genetically, because the souls of these infants are coming in right after the zygote, however it's pronounced. Right after that stage is when these souls are coming in. The ET souls are coming in. So they're very specific when they come in. Anyway, on that note, and emotion and everything we've hit the gambit of tonight, that is essentially the cycle. Now, will you see your hybrid child? Again, I was going to say, I was trying to cut my brain off. Will you see that kid again as an adult sometime in the future? Yeah, most likely. Will they be part of your abduction cycle? Oh, you can almost count on it. It's, I think, based on my experience, incredibly rare. I know that, I was going to say 5, but there's at least 4 of my hybrid kids that are with me at different sections of time because they've become some kind of scientist. What kind, I don't know. In what fraction, I do not know. But I also know many of them have become teachers. Different forms of teachers. Some of them have become scientists. Others, no, not going there. So there's a lot of different things that they become. And I can't say that either. Oh, that's a little too dangerous. So yeah, there's a lot of things that these hybrids become. So they do, a lot of them do a lot of good. Now, why are so many women having hybrid children? One of the things that I have been told is that they want to raise the consciousness of humans, because what they have found with the human governments across the globe is that, sorry, fingers popped, is that the human governments are trying to not only depopulize the populations, but they're also trying to essentially dumb everybody down. That's not how I was told, but that's essentially it in a nutshell. The other thing is that so it's about a form of control the population, dumb down, quiet the higher consciousness to where people don't ask questions, and they want the higher consciousness raised, because then we will start advancing, and they want humanity to start advancing so that humanity can eventually become stronger, more viable, and I just lost the word. I lost the word after the word viable. So more viable in different things in a positive, constructive way. Now, that said, do I get very angry over being an abductee? Yes. Do I get enraged over the fact that I am part of my labs? Oh, that's a whole nother subject. Yes, I do. But this today is about hybridization and being a surrogate mother to hybrid babies. So, and yeah, that really is taking place. It really and truly is taking place, and it's very, in a lot of ways, it's not good, and in a lot of ways, it's very, very important, and it is good. And in a lot of ways, it's very angering because we as humans don't really understand. We want more information. And some of that information really is blocked. Some of that information is repressed memories. So you got to do what you can do. And if you're angry about this, then that's your right. You have every right to be angry about it. Whether you're a friend of mine or whether you're an abductee, you have every right to every emotion that you have. Just don't come at me with your anger. I'm not dealing with it. I got my own shit going on and trying to deal with all of this crap. And a lot of it's crap, because it's just like, I get that I agreed to some of this, and I also get that I didn't agree to some of this. So, okay, hang on a second. I gotta move this back. I'm gonna hear some noises. So my old standard answer, it is what it is. There's some things you can do about it and some things you can't. So, just know you're not alone. Get into a group, even if you've got to pay for the group. A lot of times when you're paying for the group, you're helping the facilitator to be able to pay for their, whether it's a yearly Zoom subscription or a StreamYard or whatever it is, get in, or counseling, or if they're a professional counselor, get into these groups. And if you're an abductee, start talking about your experiences. It will help you. I know people in different groups that they're like, my family doesn't know. Nobody knows that I'm in this group. Nobody knows that I'm paying for it. This is what I'm doing for myself. I have to be able to survive this, and this is what I'm doing. You have to do what is in your best interest in this way. And it's not an easy road. It's not an easy road to hell, as the old saying goes. So I wish I had better news for you. But those are the ins and outs of my experience. The full process, I didn't get into the real finite, tiny details that do make a difference and all this. There's just too much information into all of it. I was asked to give a full length description as to what takes place. This is the best that I can do right now. If I have other information, it'll most likely get brought up on one of my other live broadcasts. You can watch it on replay if you miss it. Watch for the description boxes. Most of the description boxes in my live broadcasts, or even in my recorded ones, will have a timestamp. Not all of them do. I went back through some of my old videos. Some of them don't. I'm hoping over the course of the next many months to alleviate that so that all of them have a timestamp. but I don't know how far I'll get into that. That's a personal goal, and I've got a lot going on right now that I'm trying to deal with in my daily life. So, just like everybody else. So, and as for the psychic stuff, yeah, I'm getting downloads, I'm getting bits and pieces, and then I'm getting chunks of psychic information and what's coming here and what's going to take place and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, whatever. So, but you just try to live your daily life as best as you can. And the key factor, find positivity, little bits of positivity on a daily basis, and put that into use in your daily life. Makes a difference. If you have self-talk, because I found out not everybody does, but if you do have self-talk, make sure that you're doing positive self-talk instead of negative self-talk. Negative self-talk creates an energy around you and literally goes out into your environment. So literally what you think, you can create with the negativity. People think I'm bullshitting about that, and I'm not. It's look into quantum fields, look into quantum sciences and stuff, and you'll start making realizations about things. Some of the quantum information is just amazing. So, but do things to take care of you, even if it's in little ways, whether it's via scent, washing your hands with a specific scented soap that actually brings a moment of that's brings a happy moment, just even for a second, for a couple of seconds while you're washing your or well, if you're washing your hands and trying to get germs off, then do it for more than just a few seconds. That's a whole nother ball game that we got into in 2020 into 2023. So yeah, it's a whole nother ball game. So find different ways, whether it's music, whether it's binaural beats, frequency music such as hertz, megahertz, what are those called? Tone, tuning forks, singing bowls, and I've got another ear pitch in my left ear. Lovely. So I gotta make note of 9:37. So I gotta make note of that in my journals. So find things, singing bowls that have frequency on them. Find things to pick your core up, your spirit, your energy. Stop using derogatory language when you're doing self-talk. Woulda, shoulda, coulda, can't. Things like that. Get yourself to create more positive self-talk. One of the things that really works, getting through a lot of negative crap, is working on those positives. It really does. And it's actually becoming, there are studies on a lot of that now. Don't ask me where they are. I couldn't even begin to tell you. I've been reading lots of things lately and been coming across lots of information, and I don't save stuff anymore like that. I should, but I don't. I've got too much already saved and too much already going on. But find things like that. Do your research, do your reading. It is worth your time. And because basically what you're doing by doing that is you're flipping the script from negative to positive. And it literally, when you do that, you start building more positive things. You start actually attracting. You're changing the frequency in your own body. You're changing the energy around you in your home, and whether it's around you, directly around you, physical body, or whether it's in your home environment. And then when you're out in public, you literally change when you're around people. So people won't see you as somebody who's negative, or have a smile on your face. Come across with a smile on your face. The more you smile at other people, I was going to say 9 times out of 10, but 7 times out of 10, for example, you're going to get a smile back. Compliment somebody on their hair, their shirt, or their blouse, or their pants, or great pants. Oh my God, I love that jacket. That's a great design on that jacket. Oh my God, those shoes, those are great. Find positivity when you also tell that to somebody else. It not only lifts them, it also lifts you. There's a bunch of things I want to say, and I can't say them because of a few people that I know, but those are some examples. One of the other things is try not to go out in public in specific clothing, even if you're out in public in the same clothing that everybody has seen all the time. If that is what you've got and it's not threadbare, then wear it. There's a specific energy about that as well. It's about society, but there's an energy, and it's not only how you perceive people, but how other people perceive you. Think about that. I've known people years ago. I used to know people that rarely ever brushed their teeth, and it just absolutely astounded me. And they'd be in different clothing. They'd bathe, clean themselves once a week, but that was it. That's a different level. That's a totally different level that requires counseling. So there are different levels of this. So don't allow yourself to get into that mode. Make sure that you're doing things for you okay, so here's an example. When you are bathing, you're also shifting energy. When you are taking care of you, you are shifting and changing energy. Every time you brush your teeth, wash your face, wash your armpits, wash your privates, even if you're not showering, you're shifting energy. You're cleaning you. If you shower or you bathe, bath or whatever that you do for you. When you take care of your physical body, you are literally shifting energy as well. So do those things on a consistent basis. It helps to shift your energy. It helps to change the frequency around you. Amy, what do you do when nothing can bring out a laugh anymore? I have not had any more than a nervous laugh in a year. There are some times when I've come across things like that for myself, and I will find the most extreme of the extreme for me in very twisted humor. Very twisted humor. It's got to be really out there. And it will trigger a laugh. The other thing is change the environment that the daily things. If you follow the same route to a grocery store, change the route. You're changing frequency by doing that. Any small change that is not so small, that will shift the frequency. I do not know about, that's what I do for myself. You were talking about a laugh. That's what I do for myself. There are certain things, and it's got, for me to go that extreme, it's got to be really bad. It's, and I hadn't hit depression level yet. Hang on, I got to shift again. Hang on a minute, guys. Speaking of shifting energy. So there are things that way that can make a difference. So you find something that is not normal, that you would not normal, that you find absolutely appalling, that you would never normally ever laugh at. And like I said, it's very, very rare for me to go through something like that, but that's the only example that I can give you, Amy. There are, but it's not just about getting yourself to laugh. It's also about shifting the energy to where you can get to that point to where you can laugh. I have had an experience where it was almost that difficult. It wasn't that long, but it was difficult. And now I'm not going to tell you what year, but I had something that was horrifically done to me on this planet many years ago, many years ago. And it took me over a year to come out of it. And in doing so, it took me a long time. I could put a smile on my face, but it was a fake smile, and I hate fake smiles. If anybody knows me, I am not a fake person. For me to put on a fake smile to walk out in public was a big deal. But I was trying to shift my energy and my own frequency. One of the things that I did for myself in that year's time is I changed walking patterns. It wasn't easy because I was physically really much more physically disabled than I am now. But I changed walking patterns. I changed where I go. I changed what I did. I did not follow the same patterns. I changed things up. I found that I had to color because there was something to do. I got crayons. I got the old crayons out that I had for kids. A matter of fact, if I remember right, I even went to the dollar store and got the really cheap wax dollar pack of, and they weren't the Crayola stuff. They were a complete offshoot. And I got I think they were like 59 cents. This little 4 or 5 pack of color crayons, and I started making rainbows on a sheet of paper. And it was, matter of fact, I started using recycling. I was recycling paper. And so on the back of a bill, I'd start to color. I didn't need to take that bill to anybody. I didn't need to, anything. So it was just, so basically I was coloring, just making rainbow, doing this kind of motion with it. And it was, what I found were specific colors helped me. Music didn't even work for me. TV shows didn't work. Movies didn't work. But the action of coloring. The other thing that I tried doing was getting feet on ground. I can't do, I've not, well, there's specific reasons for it, but, and I do things differently now, but back in the day, I ground my feet to the ground in a very specific way. So I would go out in a pair of cotton, had to be cotton socks, and I would walk on the grass. And even just pulling up little chunks of grass off the grass, there were other things. There was something about the action of the grabbing with the hands and the pulling. There was something about that frequency for me, because it literally is a shift in frequency in doing that, in pulling up grass. There's another shift in frequency because I was having a hard time grounding myself. I was very good at grounding and centering. I couldn't get myself to center, and I couldn't get myself to ground correctly. Hey, Blue Cruise, tuned in. Hey, live chatters. It's good to see you, Blue Cruise. I'm glad to see you. I haven't seen you in a long time. And so shifting frequency when things are that difficult can make a very significant change, even temporary change. The other thing is that I got desperate, and I literally sunk my hands into the dirt, because when you have a frequency that is that low, Earth's energy is really important. And even when you are not a person who is a gardener by any stretch of the imagination, you don't want anything to do with it. It is really crucial to do this for yourself. Get your hands on actual dirt. And I'm not talking, if you can't do your feet on grass or on dirt barefoot, then do, yeah, I'm really glad you're able to be here, Blue Cruise. Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it. And then get your hands on soil. Even if there's like bark over it, move the bark aside, put your hands on soil, and get your fingers in and do this with your fingers into the dirt. Even if it's hard pan, just do this. Even if it's sand, do this. There's something about the action. It literally shifts the energy in the palm of your hand. Everybody has a frequency and a chakra. You've got chakras in the palms of your hands, folks. Shift that frequency. That's one of the ways to do it. There's a reason that this works. I always say I don't know, but that's essentially what it is you're shifting energy in the palms of your hands. You've got to change the frequency. And there are you've got to get out of the rote pattern that you're in, the daily in and out. Even if it's a daily in and out of survival, you've got to change things up. So you got to find that, whatever it is. If it's where you have an axe and you've got wood, outside, then take that axe to the piece of wood that's outside. Excuse me, guys, sorry. Okay, so apparently this is a new container today. Apparently I need to get some iced tea in me. Sorry, folks. So anyway, shift things up. If it means that you go and stand outside to get some sunlight, get your face up, or if it's cold outside, it's too cold outside, wrap up, bundle up, get your head covered, but keep your face open. Get your face up to the sunlight. Your body needs that vitamin D. There are other levels of that where it's really freaking important where your body gets that vitamin D. And so, but if you're in an environment where it's sunny out all the time, but you're inside all the time, get outside. Get the short sleeve shirt on, get a pair of shorts on, tennis shoes or whatever on your feet, and get out in the sun. If that's not what you want to do, well, you probably should try to force yourself to do it because of the vitamin D levels. Yes, granted, our skies are a little dimmer because of the crosshatch of the sprays that they're doing. But that vitamin D level, your skin needs it. There are reasons. So, and that can also change the frequency because you're doing something different. Doing something different will change your frequency, but it's got to be something for the positive. It's taking action. You have to take action to shift your frequency. If you're not going to change, then you're going to stay stagnant. If you stay stagnant, then there's a problem. It's not just clearing, oh, the person needs to have their chakras cleared. It's not just clearing your chakras. It's not just doing all of that. It's making changes. Move things in your home. If you have an immaculate home, which is very rare, not a lot of people have that, but if you are a person where you are a minimalist, shift furniture in your home. That can change frequency as well because you're literally shifting. Cleaning a home can shift energy. Okay? Dusting, cleaning, all of those things can be a chore, but you're shifting the energy in your home. Moving a piece of furniture. So if you have a recliner or a small end table, move it into different positions in the home. Not 4 inches. I'm talking like maybe across the room or 6 feet from where it was. Making it that big, you will shift energy. That will be part of a thing for you. It's one of the things that I got told, 3 weeks ago? Live on air. Psychic I know, we were doing there were 5 or 6 of us on the call, and I got specifically told that you've got laundry all over. I'm like, I've got folded laundry in 2 spots in my bedroom. And the psychic was like, well, I've got this person telling me that you need to fold and put away your laundry. Well, it is folded. What the hell are they talking about? Oh, I've got 4 drawers that clothing needs to go into that I haven't dealt with because I've been dealing with other higher priorities to me. Well, it doesn't mean that it's dirty laundry. It just means that it's folded. It needs to get put into the proper drawers. Has some of that happened? Yes and no. So bits and pieces of that have happened. But because I started the process, I shifted the energy. I broke the stagnation on that specific thing, and it opened me up even further. And I was like, okay, so basically I can't get stuck into this pattern of oh my God, I'm dealing with this, this, and this every day, and this, and this are going to be this way for some time until they get finished, because you don't have what you need for those projects, but you're trying to get all the little aspects of it done. Well, because those to me are a higher priority than putting these other items away. It's not that I've got a messy room, and I don't, but they're in two specific spots, and apparently it was causing stagnation. Well, when you cause stagnation, that creates a major issue with your frequency. And so there are certain factors medically, such as the vitamin D levels, or iron levels, or thyroid levels. You got to look into those like I said, I'm not a doctor. You got to do your research and talk to your medical team if you have a medical team, or if you've got a community doctor, talk to them. Find out whatever your levels are. If that's not the issue, if the medical is not the issue, then it's most likely a stagnation issue. And you've got to do something and take physical action in making shifts and changes. And that there's a lot of things that are simple and easy to do. Move a microwave 6 inches, move a microwave a foot, move a table half a foot away. But if it's, because those are a little bit more confined spaces, but if it's a living room and you've got things in, move them more than a foot away from where they were. That alone will literally break the stagnation barrier. You've got to make the physical action. That is what shifts things. So, it makes a big deal. It can make a really big deal. Anything from, if you bathe once a week. Now, I have known people where they only bathe once every 2 weeks. And I'm like, I can't even fathom that. Add more bathing time. That will make a immediate shift in frequency. Change things in your home environment. If you're not willing to put up and move a physical piece of furniture, which really is the major break, a minor break will be taping up a picture on a wall, taping up a piece of paper on a wall, something that you enjoy, something that you like to look at. Printing something off of the printer, if you still have a printer, because a lot of people don't have printers anymore. Printing something, a nice picture that you like to look at off your printer, and taping it to the wall, or tacking it to the wall in whatever measure or form that you can tack it. Making that's a small break. A big break is moving a piece of furniture 6 feet, or 2 feet even. But don't do it like small amounts. Do it in big amounts. If you can. This is my bedroom. If I had to make moving anything in here, any large piece of furniture in here, would be really significant. It would take 2 or 3 people, because a lot of these pieces of furniture are very heavy, and it takes more than one person to move them. And this room is very small. So if I wanted to change where my bed is, then it's going to take all 3 people, or 2 people to move it. And it's going to take half a day, because you've got to move other things out of the way, out of the room, to be able to move the bed into a different location. So those are major moves. But in a living room or a dining room, make a change. Make something a change. If you, for example, one of the things I did in my other apartment, one of the weird changes I made, I needed the floor space under the table. So I turned the chairs upside down and put them on top of the table. It worked. It shifted the energy in that room. And then a few weeks later, I removed those items and put the chairs back. And then put items on top of the table. So, I mean, you have to change up. If you keep the stagnation, you're going to have issues. I hope that makes sense. And I hope that helps with your question, Amy. But it's good information for everybody to have. So not just her, but and I use me as an example all the time. So there's different things I've learned via experience. Just remember, you've got chakra points all over your body. You don't just have them up your spine and out your head. You've got them at your feet. You've got them at your knees. You've got them in the middle of your leg. You've got them at your upper legs. You've got them on your hips. They're all over the frickin' place on your body. So there are a lot of different things. If you are not, and this is going to sound really bad, but if you're not a rubber, in other words, if you're not a person who rubs your skin, rub your skin. Make a change. There's a physical tactile thing. If you do not get hugged, okay, put your hand under your shirt, put your hand over your heart. It literally acts like a form of a mild hug. There is a connection there. Do your research on that. I'm not just blowing smoke up your wazoo. Look it up. Do your research. It acts like a hug on your body. It literally kicks in a specific set of nerves in your nervous system. Hum. It activates the vagus, VAGUS, vagus nerve in your body, your core body. It activates all of that, all the way up through your head. Make it low as you can go. And that it will react in your body. It triggers the vagus nerve in your body. It helps open things up. That alone can help shift frequency. Okay? There's different forms of tapping. You can do tapping with your fingers. You can do tapping on your face. Different spots on your face, on your forehead. Like right there is a sinus issue for me. I just felt it. Didn't even know that. But doing that, this one. Yeah, this one. That can release things. Doing different tapping techniques on your body. Look up acupressure points. Okay? Look up acupressure points and do tapping on those acupressure points. The tips of the thumbs and the forefingers. That can trigger your sinuses. Holding different things, different tips of your fingers activate different sections of your mind. Look them up. Do different things. Those alone will help shift energy and frequency in your body. It makes a difference. I've been doing those kinds of things for years. It works. Living proof of it. All the shit I've gone through and experienced in my life, are you kidding me? Do this. It works. I'm not just the only living resident of that one. There's thousands of people that use those. Look into acupressure points and tapping. Look into the humming. Look into bells. Bells are another one. Hang on a second. I'm going to put you guys up for a moment. You can see a hat up there that one of my family members made. What seems like a million years ago to me. Okay, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get this out. Come on. Out. Come on, up. Okay, so here is a bell. You can probably already hear it. This is something I inherited from my grandmother. I haven't used it in a very long time. Okay? Very loud. Changes frequency, changes energy. Okay? I haven't pulled this. I've never shown this to anybody. All right. So, find things that work. Metal shifts frequency and energy. Find if you've got a set of metal bowls, like I've got a set of metal mixing bowls, and periodically I will take a fork, regular utensil, eating utensil, and hold the tip of the metal and go, and it makes a very specific frequency. It resonates a specific way. Things you do can help you do. I've got others. I cannot show you those for very specific reasons. But I've got other bells, other locations. If you've got bells, I highly recommend you using them. Put them on a door. So anytime you walk out your front door, you're hearing that bell before you leave. It literally can shift energy. It provided it's the right frequency for you. But it can change things for you. It can make a major thing. But like I said, walk in a different pattern. Walk on a different side of the street instead of on the same side of the street that you walk on every day, or anytime you go to a store, or anytime you go someplace. Walk to a park. Get away from your home environment. It makes a shift. If you have a patio, walk out to your patio. Yes. Blue Cruise is saying, I wasn't aware that a bell sound changes our vibrational frequency. Yes, it does, dear. That's what singing bowls are all about. Shifting and changing frequency. There's a couple of really, really good people who do singing, or who play their singing bowls on video, and they are really good. I highly recommend them. Matter of fact, because this has gone on 3 hours and 13 minutes into this, but because this has gone on so long, I hope that I have a hey, Christine. Oh, wow. Hi. I didn't didn't expect to see you in here. I'm really glad to see you. But yeah, you got to find things that work. I totally lost my train of thought, but that's okay. Amy, the closest thing I have to a bell is a coffee cup I can ting. That works. If you have any kind of metal, even if it's a screen door, if you've got a fork or some kind of utensil, you can actually ting that bell or that metal on that door. Okay. So there's that bell in a much softer way. So yeah, tinging a bell or making a bell ring really can shift energy. Singing bowls can, frequencies, tuning forks can. I've actually put a whole group of tuning forks on my Amazon gift list, because those are the things that I really want now. I mean, I'm like, oh, we've got to change frequency. And actually, that's what I want for my channel now, is to be able to do that periodically for you guys, is to find a sound that can help with a frequency in the tuning forks that can help with different health things, and be able to ring that at different times on my channel. So yeah, you got to change things up to shift frequency. So finding ways to laugh. If you're not able to laugh, use some of the examples that I mentioned earlier, and see if sorry, got to do the lips again. Get to talking this long, you got to start moisturizing them lips. So find different things that create sounds that work for you. It literally shifts energy. The other thing is daylight light bulbs. True daylight light bulbs. Let's see if I can find the name of the one that I love so much. Products. Well, it might take me a minute. But yeah, these are really very important things to shift frequency, to shift energy in our bodies and around us. It makes a gigantic difference in what we do for ourselves. Well, apparently that ain't it. What the hell are you? We're getting into all the medical stuff. Okay, just a second. Ooh, here we are. Full spectrum lamp clear. 8, the letter A, 21, 100 watt natural balanced white light. Lumen output 1590. Name brand is Chroma Lux. So it's made by a company called LUMIRAM. The product is called Chroma Lux Full Spectrum Lamp, A21 100 watt clear. Uses only 72 watts, natural balanced light. Average of 4,000 hours. It's a clear light bulb. They run about $10.99, and trust me, you only want it on for about 2 hours a day. It opens up for for those who have what are called SAD, seasonal affective disorder, which happens a lot in Washington State because of the overcast, especially during winter. So matter of fact, that's what I've got on, up over here. I've got a floor lamp turned on with one light bulb, and I don't use mine very often anymore, but I used to use mine about 2 hours a day during the winter. Usually right after I'd get up from bed, and so it makes a major difference because it does something to the back of the eyes. And in doing that something to the back of the eyes, do your own research, guys, but in doing that to the back of the eyes, it literally acts like sunlight on the eyes. And our bodies require that. It's the equivalent to doing vitamin E on our skin and getting sunlight on our skin. Oh, stop it, stomach. Getting daylight. Sorry, my stomach's growling. Amy, probably good to buy those while you can. They have out loud production of the higher wattage standard bulbs. Yeah, they're actually making versions of these that are LED. Those are not true daylight light bulbs. These are expensive little suckers. They used to be $25 back in the day in the 1990s when I first started buying them. And back then I'd use them maybe twice a week because I had a very dark tiny little living room. It was only about, about 6 feet wide by about 18 feet long. It was a pain in the butt living room. But anyway, so it was dark. And so in the wintertime, I used to use that a couple of times a week. And in my other apartment, during the winter, I would use, because the apartment got very dark, because the windows were not big enough. So I'd use it 2 hours after I get up in the morning, or my morning, and then I would shut it off. Now, one of the things that I've learned with this specific kind of light bulb is you absolutely cannot have it on 2 hours before you go to bed. You will not get to sleep. I am here to attest to that. That is a pain in the butt. Big major deal. So, don't buy the cheap, they're not cheap, but $6 version light bulbs that are LED, that have these little, they're shit. They're absolute shit. They're not, do not buy them. They are not worth the money. They are not worth your time. But Chroma Lux daylight light bulb, very, very important. I will try to put a link to Chroma Lux in the chat. There was another one I will try to put a link into, and I can't remember who it was that I said. So hopefully when I go through tomorrow, when I go through the adding the timestamps in, I will make sure that I add all the different things that I had talked about, that I stated I would put in. But because we're now 3 hours and 22 minutes over, or 3 hours and 23 minutes into this video, there's going to be a lot talked about. So anyhow, in the timestamp, so hopefully I'll have enough room. Trying to think if there's anything else that I need to cover in here that we talked about in changing frequency, in dealing with the ET pregnancies, the hybridization, because I talked about, go back, if you have not seen it, if you have not heard it, and you came in later, go in and rewatch from about 16 minutes in, because that's when I really start getting into the meat of everything. 16 minutes into 3 hours and 4 minutes is how long the video is, me talking about the process of hybrid pregnancies, being a hybrid surrogate mom or surrogate host to pregnancies. Yeah, careful how I say that. Anyway, so on that note, I think we've hit it all. Christine, sorry I missed most of this, Nikki. I will rewatch for sure. Yeah, please do. That's the other thing. Please hit like, subscribe, and share, because this is a subject that you don't hear really talked about a lot. And there are people out there who are abductees who are afraid to talk. And I understand that. I get that. And if this can go out to them, then maybe there's a bright light at the end of the rainbow, so to speak, something that they can know that they're not alone. That's my biggest goal, is to let abductees who are closeted abductees, who are terrified to talk about it with family, or afraid that they're going to lose their work because it came out, somebody heard about it, and it's now out at work, and they get fired because their employer doesn't want them anywhere near. They don't want, because it's looked upon as being crazy. It's not crazy. This is happening. This is real. It's going on. And it's not easy to deal with, and they don't need to be losing their job or their family because the crap that they are receiving from other derogatory people who are very strong in their negative views of all of this. And that's because of society, and how society and the government with its propaganda shit has targeted this community. So please like, share, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. If you're capable of sharing it out, please do, because I do go into quite a bit of detail in this video, and it is pretty important information. So anyhow, I think we've hit the gambit of everything. Amy, did you have any more questions before I cut this off? Excuse me. Anything else that you wanted to hit up to talk about? I'll wait for a moment because I know. Okay, so you're going to hear a sound. There we go. Oh, there we go. That's better. This is going to sound wrong, but gotta lube up the lips a little bit. That wasn't going to cut it this time. Anyway, no more questions. Anybody else with any questions? Okay. On that note, I am going to do the bell a couple more times, and I'll try to do it softly. So if you're not up for hearing the bell again, doesn't look like it. Yeah, exactly, says Robert. So if you're not up for hearing the bell, I'm good, thank you. I'm still struggling with the idea any beings can travel from other stars. Yeah, I know, I hear that. Blue Cruise, I could use some more sunlight, vitamin D. I just need to limit my time outside in the Florida sun due to my skin being inherited from Ireland. Oh my God, I understand that. Although I do think they might be interdimensionals. Yeah, there are some who are interdimensionals. Not all ETs are interdimensionals, but there are some who are. I do agree with that. Okay, so if you're not ready, here we go. I'm doing it now. 1 on the 3rd. 1, 2, 3. And there we go. I think that's where I'm going to end it. And I might just do that for the ending for every show. I don't know. I love that bell. Haven't done that in years. Been a long, long time. Anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. For those that are SOR fans, Spaced Out Radio has been on for an hour and a half. Go check out who's on. I don't honestly remember right now. There are a lot of other shows that are good, and so or go listen to some binaural beats music, some different megahertz sounds, and different things. Remember, find your positivity, change your negative, flip the script, change your negative to positive thinking. It can be done. I'm a living example of it. Very much so. So on that note, I wish you guys well and peace. I don't know why I'm saying this one, but peace and serenity, love and kindness. Take very good care. Good night, folks.